Good morning. Welcome to Swiss Gold Global Independent Business Owner Network Marketing Training number 92. Getting close to 100. We are almost there. Only 8 to go. This is Friday, January 30th, 2015. Good morning, Mr. Luyster.
Hey, good morning, Paul. You know what? I was about 15 seconds late, I think. I jumped in there as I heard you saying, "Good morning, Mr. Luyster." So I knew it was my turn to talk. Good morning, Mr. Romero. Yes, it's Friday. Can you believe that it's already the end of the first month of the year? It's just unbelievable to me. What is today? The 30th? So that means we've got one more day left of this month. It's just already the year's flying by unbelievably fast. We're 1 month down. Next thing I know, we're going to be celebrating Christmas again. It's crazy. So, yeah, well, good morning and welcome to Hangout number
92.
92. So we're only 8 away. So what is that? Next week?
No.
So 2 weeks from now we'll be on number 100.
Yep.
I can't wait. We're awesome.
Cool. So, we've been a little off track this week. We were going headlong into the, what do you call it?
Own your life
Plan
plan
book.
book.
Own Your Life Plan book. And we got, like I said, a little sidetracked this week. We threw in the trainings out of the, just an overview, kind of a showing you what's available online in your back office of your website there, the training packages that are available. Myself, I am printing these out and putting them into a nice little presentation, basically a package to give to my new sponsors and new people that I'm sponsoring. Actually, I'm the sponsor, I guess. The people that I am sponsoring. I like to give them a nice little welcome package, a startup kit, so to speak, and included in there would be these training pieces, which have a really good outline that, quite honestly, if somebody was to actually do exactly what's in these, is bound to succeed. It's almost impossible to fail. I wanted to bring one little thing up. We brought up the other day, Wednesday, I believe it was. We brought up the fact that to be in the 1% of earners in the state of Arizona, you needed to make $300,000. That was correct, yeah, John?
That is correct. I don't know that we actually discussed that on this particular hangout, but that is true. If you want to be in the top 1% of earners in Arizona, you only have to earn $300,000 a year. I actually thought that number sounded quite low, in my opinion. I thought it would be a lot higher, and it was actually a very interesting article, but I think we talked about that in our other hangout, but that's okay. We could talk about that now.
Well, yeah, because I was feeling the same way when you said what was the top 1% of earners for the state. I would have figured $1 million, and you said $300,000 annually, and that got me to doing a little bit of thinking and researching. So, what does the number $46,440 represent? Do you think, John?
Is that a number of annual income?
Well, it's just a number.
Okay, so what is the number? $46,000.
$46,440.
What does that represent? I don't know. Probably 80%. Well, I bet you 80% of the people in Arizona earn less than that a year.
That's probably a pretty good, no, accurate statement there. What $46,440 represents is the median, which means half is more and half is less. It's the median average annual pay for all of the occupations in America.
Interesting.
Yeah,
$46,000 a year.
yeah. So, out of $46,000 a year, half the jobs that you could have in America will pay more than that. Half the jobs you can have in America will pay less than that annually, which comes
Very.
out to, I believe it came out to $23.33 an hour. pretty, pretty, pretty eye-opening concept there. Here's another little stat that I found that was that said that 9 out of the 10 occupations that contain the most amount of workers, 9 out of 10 of those occupations come in below this number of $46,440. No comment? Oh, you're
Oh,
on
no,
mute.
no, I'm sorry. I had my microphone muted real fast. Sorry about that. What did you say? I was yelling at my puppy who was doing something gross on the couch.
I said 9 out of 10 occupations that contain the most amount of American workers, 9 out of 10 of those occupations fall below this $46,000 number.
Well, wow. That doesn't actually surprise me. And, if that is the median income of the average occupation, so that's basically taking, it's an average of everybody's thing, but 9 out of 10 jobs of those occupations actually fall below that, which means there's a significant gap between probably the people that are earning the median income, and there's probably a giant leap to a more professional type of occupation. I imagine there's a giant gap, and I would venture to say, like I said, I bet you 80% of people actually probably earn less than that.
I would say, yeah, that's like I said, probably pretty close. I was thinking like 70, but the other, so the one occupation that comes in with an average annual salary higher than $46,400 that has, that's in the top 10 of the most amount of American workers is nursing. Uh,
Really?
comes in at about 60. I forget if it was 63 or $68,000 a year for the average annual salary. Now, these are averages, of course. Some people make less than this. Obviously, all the people that are starting into a particular field of work are going to be making less. Basically, what the average means pretty much is what you can pretty much kind of expect to aspire to. I mean, you're probably an average person, so you're probably going to make an average salary. Not very many people aspire to above the average, out of when you take the whole number of people that are in a particular field. So, you've got X amount of people that are above the average that are probably making considerable amount above the average because you're going to have more people below the average, just as what we're talking about here. You're going to have more people below the average that are, all clamoring within that range, whereas like John was just pointing out, there's probably a huge gap to the people who are earning above the average, the top earners and that sort of thing, which brings this medium up, because compared to all the others, but still, so just looking at the averages here, considering the fact that whatever field you're in, this is what you could pretty much aspire to be making annually. Yeah,
That just doesn't sound like enough money to me.
I know, doesn't it? So here's an interesting little page I'm going to bring up here now. Let's see if I can screen share this. What does that say right there? Can you see this, John?
Yeah, the 10 lowest paying jobs in America.
Okay, so here we go. I don't know how many shampooers there actually are in America.
What is a shampoo? Are you talking about the lady who washes your hair at a barber shop, or is that what they're referring to? Are they dog groomers or carpet shampooers?
I don't know.
I know that applies shampoo professionally. Okay.
No idea, but shampooers are the lowest paying job in America, averaging $18,600 a month. So if you're out there shampooing anything, I suggest you go to the website that you see on either John or mine's page and send us an email ASAP. Okay, so the next one here. Oops, I went too far. Um, Combined food preparation and serving workers.
Yep, that one doesn't surprise me. I was married to a server, and her annual income was about $24,000.
Yeah, but I
But
don't
she
think we're even.
happened to be at a restaurant that's busy, that was in an area that tipped well,
I was
and
just going to say, does that include tips?
that number has to include tips because they get less than minimum wage when you're a server.
Right. So I'm pretty sure I don't believe this is including tips. So this would be the annual average, wage. So yeah, and then obviously food preparation people don't make tips. Food worker and serving workers. I think serving workers are probably more like cafeteria style, that they're not really making tips either.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
You know
gotcha.
what I mean? So now we have fast food.
Serving workers like you're like the cashier at McDonald's would be a serving worker.
Yeah, exactly. So now we have fast food cooks not making much more, and they're not making any tips. And then we have, oh, I'm on the second page here. Oh, then we have dishwashers. This surprised me. Dishwashers are actually making more than fast food cooks.
You know what's funny about that? I was a dishwasher when I was 17. I actually had a lot of fun at that job, but obviously I didn't stick with it.
Yeah, probably a good career choice.
Yeah.
Now we have counter attendants, cafeteria, food concession, and coffee shop. So here's some people that might be pulling in a few tips, but obviously at the low end of what these represent, they're not making $100 a day in tips. I can guarantee you that. Then we have hostesses and hosts in restaurants, lounge, and coffee shops. So now here's where we're probably getting into your average American working out into the restaurant field who is getting tips. So this is probably where you were talking about. You would probably categorize, um, who you were talking about there, making 24,000.
Yep.
Dining room, cafeteria attendants, and bar helpers, 19,000. Farm workers, laborers, crop nursery, and greenhouse workers, all less than $20,000 a year. No tips there. Amusement and recreation attendants. No tips there. So that's your bottom. Oh, there was one more. Ushers, lobby attendants, and ticket takers. Again, not really any tips there. I mean, you might be picking up a few, but I don't think you're really even going to count them to the IRS. They're so small. So these are all these jobs right here, and I'll bet you that at least probably three, if not four or more of those categories where the most people are employed fall into these bottom 10. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
So check this out now. This is I think they pull. I think I saw somewhere where they calculated about 400 and maybe 60 something occupations. This list only went to 300. And look at what we have here, earning $64,000 a year. Environmental compliance inspectors, governmental property and investigators, licensing examiners and inspectors, coroners, compliance officers, equal opportunity representatives and officers, regulatory affairs officers, moving up to $65,000, education teachers, post-secondary, power plant operators, magnetic resonance imaging technologists, MRI technologists, only $65,000 a year, web developers, there's a surprise, diagnostic medical sonographers, transportation inspectors, $65,000 a year. Does that sound like enough to you?
No, it's not enough. I know it's not enough. Wow. And the thing with most of these jobs here is that they actually take a significant amount of schooling, which costs money. I know that an MRI technologist, you would have to go to a tech school that would cost you almost your entire median income just to get the certification. And then when you pay it back, it probably takes them people making that probably almost 15 to 20 years just to pay it back at about 150 to $225 a month in payments, I would bet you.
Exactly. That's another thing that I was going to mention there is every one of these you'll notice are above that 400 that $46,000 $400 number. And yes, each and every one of these, maybe coroner, I don't know, but well, you can imagine the coroner would have to, but each and every one of these, yeah, it does require specialized education, training, et cetera, and so on, which is doesn't come cheap. And so you begin your career not making $65,000 a year, obviously. This is the average, remember. So you start out earning, say, what, $40,000 a year or something, probably?
I would say so.
And you probably got a debt of over $100,000.
It hardly seems worth it.
it it I'm gonna skip the opinions for just 1 second and take a guess on the top number one highest paying job in America.
The top paying job in America?
Yep, the highest paying occupation in America.
Probably
Average.
CEO of a major company.
Wrong. How about anesthesiologist? Who would have guessed that, right?
Oh, we're looking at occupation. Wow, I would never have thought that.
I know, isn't that crazy? And you know what? Guess what 9 of the top 10 are? Medical fields.
Medical fields, absolutely not surprising at all.
Obstetrician, gynecologist, oral and maxillofacial surgeons, orthodontists, physicians and surgeons, all other surgeons, internalists, psychiatrists, uh, mental medical, and family general practitioners. And your guess, CEOs, comes in at number 10 at $171,000 a year average for an American CEO.
The
Does that
average,
even,
okay?
does that even seem like enough? I mean, to me, that's going to be enough to be comfortable, but is it enough to really live a life of happiness and abundance?
I want to be in the 1%, man.
So, falling back to that 1%, looking at those jobs right there, obviously, how many that pretty much explains why that 1% of 300,000 is so low, right? I mean, because even the highest paying occupations aren't there.
Oh, I thought you froze.
I did freeze, but not the screen didn't. I did.
Oh.
But does I mean now that that 300,000 a year number makes sense for 1%, right? Because if you're looking at the highest paying occupation making only $187,000 on average, you know, uh, only 1% of them obviously are going to be in the $300,000 mark.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I bet you the one percenters are probably the entrepreneurs, the business owners, I would say the politicians probably, most of the politicians probably aren't even in the one percenters. Did they actually on that chart show the average salary of your average politician,
You know,
civil servant?
I didn't really get into the whole list. 100%. I was just kind of looking at the top and bottom. I was kind of curious about politicians, but I don't think that they even listed politicians, quite honestly.
Well, I would just venture to say, like local, I know that local politicians, I mean, most of them get into politics more as a civil, to be a civil service or because they're animate and enthusiastic about working for the community. So I know that those aren't high paying jobs. I'm just curious if, it showed what the president of the United States makes as a salary off the American public. I'd be curious to know what that number is. But the point being is that it's not surprising at all that to be in the 1%, that you'd only need to make $300,000 a year. And as a business owner, or I think a CEO of a major corporation, those are the kind of people that are in the 1%. I'd say
Mhm.
business owners, people or old families of wealth, investors like Warren Buffett, the Robert Kiyosaki's, I'm sure they're in that realm. But it's the people with, I think, great ideas, people that are owners of their own businesses. Those are the ones that are in the 1%. Not anybody working a job, unless I think perhaps a CEO or a high-powered attorney for a major, major firm. Otherwise, your job is never going to put you in that bracket.
Right. Uh, I don't even know where. See here.
And what was
Lawyer-
interesting about that article too is that actually,
Lawyers, lawyers fall in number 25.
right, the average median lawyer.
Yep. So, like you said, I mean, yeah, I'm sure there's probably a handful of lawyers that fall into the 1%, making over $300,000 a year. But on average, they're making $114,000 a year. The average people aren't making more than, that kind of money. So, like you say, yeah, the high end elite in some of the top, probably about the top, maybe 30 occupations, a handful of people, the high end elite of their field are probably in the 1%. And like I said, from there, I guarantee you, it's 100% entrepreneurs and business owners and investors, investing families, wealthy families, the Buffetts and Waltons and all of those kinds of people in the world.
Well, people who use their minds most,
Mhm.
I would say, fall into that category.
So anyway, we're out of time here. I just wanted to bring all of that to your guys' attention because, you know what your numbers are. Swiss Gold Global is a way to up your numbers and get back some of the time that you're slaving away in for whatever those numbers are, whether they're good or bad. And I didn't even really get a chance to get into the whole, how much money is going out every month and what you have left over and what the heck are you doing with it? Are you saving it? Are you investing it? Are you dumping it into depreciating assets that lose value over time and don't pay you anything, that actually cost you more money out of your pocket? Or are you putting that money into appreciating assets that actually pay you every month? That's what it's all about. Anyway, last word, John, and take us out of here.
Well, if you're putting to me, if you're putting money into something that is depreciating and it's not giving you any sort of return, that's really not an asset at all, but a liability.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, in Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad, he talks about how people don't understand what an asset really is. And when people actually believe that when they buy a house that they're living in or they buy a car, that they think it's an asset. But if you're losing money every month, which you are, you're paying a mortgage, it's not your asset, it's the bank's asset. It's your liability. It's your outflow of your monthly cash, not a cash flow of incoming cash. So it's a different way of looking at things. I suggest that book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's actually a great book. Anyway, very interesting statistics and information, I feel, Paul, and that was interesting and get you thinking, what can I do to up my numbers? And with that being said, one way to start is by asking the universe not for more riches, but for more wisdom with which to make better use of the riches given to you at birth, us at birth, to the power to control and direct our own minds to whatever ends I may desire. So with that, have a great day, and I'll see you back here on Monday morning.
When?
Monday morning.
When?
Oh, new op day.
Goodbye, everyone.
Oh.